Hey guys, it's Keith here and I'm excited to be showing you this one as we take our Baltic airborne battle group here to defend the homeland against the Russian aggressors coming in over in Kadaga Air Base. Now I had a lot of fun playing this game and I wanted to showcase this one in particular because I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned here. We managed to use our units efficiently, covering one another with multiple different sorts of weapon systems here and playing to the strength of our division against the enemy's strength. The enemy did make it very difficult for us, which is why it's fun. So I definitely want you to pay attention to what the enemy is making as well. Definitely a fun game to play, and without further ado, hope you sit back, relax and enjoy the show. And as always, with the start of the match, we're going to be bringing out the F-15EX Eagle II, and this aircraft is a monster of a plane belonging to the airborne deck here. Now I am playing with the Baltic Airborne Division, so I want to be using the best available aircrafts to me. In this case, we're going to be bringing out the F-15EX Eagle, flying directly towards the enemy airspawn, hoping to engage in a joust with any potential enemy aircrafts today. Not seeing anything at the moment, which tells me that the enemy has not brought in any aircrafts. Neither are we spotting any helicopters as well, which also means that the enemy is playing rather conservatively today, so a very safe opener with ground-based forces. With the lack of enemy aircrafts here today, so it's gonna allow our teammates' helicopters to really push deep into enemy territory, getting those forward recon units, those forward deployed units very quickly into good positions to be able to comfortably scout out the enemy's forces. You can see our TU player now putting in an STT squad directly over the echo point, as well as the previously seen sniper teams inside the second Little Bird. Over in the map, our neon green player doing the same, securing more sectors as we're going to take advantage of this ourselves by bringing in the AS-365 Tulpan with a couple of reinforcements directly into the center here. And I am going to be playing in the center of this map. We're going to go through a little bit about the map later on, but for now, we do have a couple of XA-180. These are speedy transport, very fast moving transport vehicles belonging to the Baltic division here, but not very tanky, so it's very fragile transport, so likely we're going to be using them to zoom very quickly into these positions here to offload our infantry and get them into position very quickly on. Already we have a SUV as well as a Grom, and as our Tulpan now coming in, these Tulpans are carrying the HMG, GMG teams as well as a couple of sniper squads inside. As our units move forwards towards the position here, let's briefly talk about the map here. I think Kadaga is a very fun map to play in, and the center is actually a very crucial location in this map here. So I truly believe whoever controls the center is gonna likely swing the match towards their way. So it's really up to us to dominate the center today, which is exactly what we're gonna be doing today as we go through this video. Milan as well as the Grom here has been offloaded by the second XA-180 that we brought in earlier. These are going to be my long-range support squads. It's going to be covering the roads towards the right side as our SUV already in position engaging the enemy vehicles here. Likely it's not going to be a very dangerous target for us as we're going to destroy it very quickly. We do have a VDV Spetnaz team engaging us right now, so we're going to be pushing the SUV towards the VDV Spetnaz. The SUV is a very interesting recon unit, so a special forces belonging to one of the Baltic nations here. Unfortunately, I don't really remember which specific Baltic nations. And today, somewhat of a highlight of the unit that we're going to be using a lot today would be the Gelezinis Vilkas over to the left side here. Gelezinis Vilkas is going to be engaging against the enemy incendiary Motoviki as well as the VDV Dush. And in the distance we do see a tank coming our way, and this tank is going to be the T-72BA tank, which, given the combination of the units that we're seeing on the purple player side, it indicates to me that we're going to be fighting against my beloved mech VDV formation here, so it's very interesting to be fighting against a powerful combination group. One of the best Russian combination in my opinion, and if you've been watching some of my videos in the past, likely the previous videos, you're going to see how powerful the mech VDV formation can be. So we're in for a bit of a treat here today, as our Baltic forces here is going to force to defend its homeland against the Russian invaders, and we're going to have a great time deploying our forces and engaging the enemy team. Gelezinis Vilkas now going to have to be pulling back from the fight now. Like always, we want to keep our units alive for as long as possible, so every time our units get damaged, we're going to disengage from the fight and get them back to the supply dump. The enemy is going to be bringing up a forepost here. This is a low-flying drone which is going to be equipped with a missile here, taking out our XA-180. So unfortunately, our Gelezinis Vilkas here is gonna have to leg it and get to the supply dump. And if you notice earlier, I did put my supply dump away from the front lines because I know I will be fighting against the enemy forces this close towards the, well, in the objective here, the ring. So I don't want to have my supplies anywhere near my too close to where my units are fighting, which is gonna make it difficult for my units to get reinforced. I'll get to a supply dump. We do have the almighty Leopard 2A8 trophy here, and using the Baltic deck only has 2 available Leopards in today, so we're gonna be using this Leopard tanks very conservatively. I think the way I want to be using this Leopards here is not essentially a tank killer, so the Leopards are linchpin or something like an anchor to my defense here. Leopards are going to be mostly used in a supporting role. Our infantry today are going to be the ones that will be doing a lot of work today to clear out the enemy positions and assault through the center here as we dominate the center as well. Purple team, purple snipers on the side here already providing the enemy team a lot of intel. So we're going to have to push our units in to eliminate that sniper. CV-90 now coming in. These are the Mark IV variants, so equipped with the APS defense system as well as a couple of spike missile launchers here. Very powerful infantry fighting vehicle. It's going to be used to support our infantry push as well. Now, as we gear up or push our forces now into position, let's talk about the center of the map here. The center island here is actually a very commanding position, so I want to be dominating as much as this position as much as possible, because if you can see on the left side here, the tree lines actually provides decent cover and observation against the enemy's open terrain to the left and to the right. So any team that is controlling the center here is going to have an opportunity to put units inside these trees to cover the enemy reinforcing routes, and this is what we're going to be doing right now. So, but first we're going to have to get through, push through the enemy formation here today, as our GMG team is going to be engaging the enemy VDV Dush up close, but taking fire from the enemy MTLB. Those powerful autocannons chewing up our units. We're going to have to be careful. Double Gelezinis now reinforcing the fronts, as our previous Gelezinis now coming up towards the front as well. The enemy T-72 now hampering. As you can see, the purple player trying to use its units to engage our positions, but our infantry as well as the IFVs now working together to quickly eliminate most of these enemy forces. The Leopards was moved to the side here and destroys one of the enemy BMP-3, that's the BMP Epoca. T-72 is going to be pushing out right now and does take out one of our CV-90s, but in doing so, it's going to expose itself to our Milan ATGM launcher here, launching 2 launchers directly into the tank's side armor and destroying that tank very quickly on. We do have the previous Milan that was from the back here moved up to the front, so we're going to need its ATGM launcher now closer towards the front. As you can see, our movements here, the infantry covering a wide territory here, and generally when you want to assault a position like this, you want to have most of your units covering one another from multiple different angles. By having our units spread out and with different weapon systems and support, we're able to really efficiently and effectively get line of sight against these enemy units here, really damaging a lot of the units very quickly and taking them out from the fight very, very fast as well. As our ATGM now close range engagement launches 2 missiles towards the enemy BMP-3, striking that down as well. As you can see on the left side here, our tank intercepting one of the enemy panzer that's out in the open right now, and this is what I mean, that holding the center island here and having units on the side is going to be a very dangerous threat to any supporting units that's coming or using those roads beyond the island here. But for now, our focus has been really solely to take over this island and push the enemy back, as our units are doing fantastic throughout the entire time. The enemy team does have a Tulpan now over in the back here in the center tree line. It's going to be launching some very devastating shells. The Tulpan is a very dangerous artillery unit, but it has a very low firing rate here. So after seeing the Tulpan firing, we're going to have to queue our units to get back into the XA-180 and moving the XA-180 back to its supply dump to get resupplied. One of our Gelezinis here is going to be engaging the VDV Dush as the other one uncovers the enemy cornet team, and it's going to have no trouble taking on those units immediately as well. Throughout this entire time, we've been eliminating the enemy forces very efficiently as well. So seeing that the enemy has concentrated most of its forces on the left side, as you can see more vehicles now coming towards our left flank, we're going to be taking the advantage or the opportunity to push our CV-90 around the flank here, and hopefully we can come in very quickly into this center tree line where the Tulpan is and take that out as well. Our Gelezinis does win the match against the enemy VDV Dush, but it's under, it's in danger right now, so we're gonna have to force it to pull out and get into one of these buildings here. And here we go. The CV-90 is now gonna be making a daring approach to try and outflank the enemy Tulpan that's hiding in these tree lines. Something about this match is I actually do respect the purple player a lot today, because even when we're making a lot of good moves here, I did find that the purple player was also actually a very decent player himself, so using a lot of combined arms tactics here with correct infantry in these positions, having adequate AA defenses as well as proper infantry inside these locations. So a big kudos to our opponents here today. I think that's Bomba on the left side of the screen here. You can see in his units card. I had a lot of fun playing with Bomba here today, so hopefully he's gonna take the VDV formation to greater heights, very much like how we did in our videos in the past. Nevertheless, today we're gonna be making the correct moves against him, as our Gelezinis are very strong infantry units supported by our longer range weapon systems here, and it's gonna make it very difficult for him to secure the center. Pink player now, one of the top rated players during this match, with 1800 elos I believe, is now coming to support the purple player, dropping a lot of bombs in station with the incendiary, but has the unfortunate effect of killing one of the purple player's units. The purple player did make a mistake here of pushing his attack helicopter too close to my CV-90, and we ended up trading against that helicopter, but I'm happy to take that trade, which means he's gonna have a delay of the helicopter available for him right now. A second Leopard here, and the final Leopard available to me right now, is going to be joining us towards the front line. And once again, we're going to be using the Leopard as a supporting unit, so not necessarily using the Leopard as a main assaulting force to lead the charge. We're going to have the Leopard lay back and provide some cover from a distance. With a lull in the game right now, we're going to be, a lull in the fight, sorry. We're going to be quickly redeploying our units, cycling out the wounded ones and bringing fresh ones in to take up better positions and in anticipation of the enemy's assault, the second assault towards our position. Lovely artillery strike against the enemy Korova there. It does take out that helicopter as well as all of its passengers as well. Now if you look at the map right now, and the mini-map on the bottom left, we are actually currently having 4 players towards the right flank here, and only the neon green player towards our left. So ideally you want to have 2 players on the left and 2 players on the right. Unfortunately today none of our teammates here seems to be aware, especially green player here, be aware of that situation and just stuck in this flank beam. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on the right side of the flank here, so hopefully we're gonna have that mass, that attention here to push through and take over Foxtrot. And our neon green player is actually struggling a lot, but has decided to secure his position over in his objective and is playing very defensively against both the pink and the orange player. So kudos to our teammate on the left here. The neon green player did an absolutely fantastic job at holding the line, our left flank, which is gonna give us that room to put more attention and focus towards our center. Now, if you've been paying attention to the scores earlier on, the enemy was actually in a very strong commanding lead in terms of capture points, but we've quickly reversed that right now, well, or at least diminished it. So slowly but surely, like most games in Broken Arrow, the first phase isn't really that important. It's more about setting up for the second and the third and final phase. At this time, beginning of phase 2, the orange player now joins the fray into the center. Here we're going to be encountering the enemy T-14 Armata, a very dangerous, very heavy tank belonging to the enemy Guards tank division here. Our Gelezinis are trying to get into position where they can provide some flanking shot into the side armors of the T-14s. Leopard's now going to be launching a shell into the side of the T-14, but even taking a side shot, you can see how tanky the T-14 Armata is. SUV is going to be bumping into one of the enemy Pierce squads, pushing out and quickly eliminating it. This Gelezinis is having the trouble of dealing with one of the enemy BMP-2Ms, a very powerful IFV, as the purple player is now quickly pushing double T-72 down the center road here, and our units are now quickly getting diminished and destroyed. Leopard now having to hold his ground against the enemy T-14 Armata up close. You can see pink player also lending some support, having certain infantry units into the center here, so really we're facing up against almost 3 players now in the center. But our units in their position is going to be quickly shutting those assault down, as the purple player has lost one of his tank. The Vampire squad has been destroyed by our SUV, and this remaining T-72 is now making a quick retreat. It did fail to take out the enemy T-14, but our Brutus is actually scoring a direct hit into one of the enemy books here. Do you see that on my left side here, I did bring up a couple of CV-90s with the Gelezinis on board, dismounted right now to take cover in these 3 lines here. Our CV-90 now going to be launching its Spike missile launcher into this Derivatiya, and this Derivatiya trying to get to cover inside one of these 3 lines here, sniper directly in front of it. Throughout this game, I did notice that the left side of the flank here was relatively vulnerable, so I wanted to put a couple of units here just to make sure that I safeguard our left flank. T-72 is going to be finding a target into our Leopard here, so we're going to have to get our Leopard back into safety behind our infantry here. We're going to have to quickly reverse the tank and hope to really bring it out back to safety here. We did end up taking out the enemy Derivatiya that's been brought up by the pink player here, as our neon player is still struggling with remnants of the orange forces continuously pushing pressure onto our left flank. Our SUV that has managed to push into the 3 lines here is going to be engaged by the enemy Okmachiki squad, so very quick kill by the enemy squad here, as our Leopard managed to get the jump onto the T-72 and takes it out. But the Leopard is in a very dangerous position right now. We're going to have to quickly bring it back to a supply dump to get it back to safety, as the enemy pink player now does have a method squad as well as a Guvardi Motostrauki team and a BRM-3K, I think. That's a recon variant of a BMP, a very powerful 50mm autocannon, I think. So it's a very dangerous threat to our light vehicles as well as our infantry. We're gonna have to quickly bring that down, and this is when I decided to call in the F-15E Strike Eagle. Okay. Enemy cruise missile does land into our position, but I'm more focused at paying attention to where the enemy book might be heading here. And you can notice that I do have a single Brutus out in play, But before that, our F-15 Strike Eagle does land its bombs, takes out the recon BMP, but unfortunately gets shot down itself. So not exactly the best kind of trade for us, but nevertheless we did manage to blunt the enemy's assault into the center here. Once again, we're gonna recover our units and get them back into position, and hopefully we are going to handle or stabilize the front. But like I mentioned earlier, I do have access to a few artillery units here. In this case, it's going to be the Brutus. I did bring out one single Brutus because the Brutus by default is going to have access to laser designated guided munitions. We're going to be using our airborne snipers here to designate these targets, especially the Brutus here. Sorry, especially the Book M3 now being spotted and held in position by our snipers. We're going to have to quickly eliminate that juicy PC. I did want to bring out the CV-90 to charge across, but I've decided not to do that in the last minute because I'm not sure what the enemy might have in this position, so we're gonna potentially lose a CV-90 for free here. So I'm gonna be telling the CV-90 to pull back for now. Green player here. Again, very supportive player with multiple Brutus himself is going to be providing some artillery strength. I do find that having triple Brutus can be useful in certain situations, but for my case today, I only needed one, and you're going to see in a bit why that would be the case. Nevertheless, the purple player now once again renewing its assault back into our position. You can see double T-72 now once again joining the fray here, as the enemy pink player does have a Spetnaz GRU in one of these buildings here. We're gonna have to be careful. Enemy grenade launcher squad is currently just chipping away at our Gelezinis Vilkas there, so we're gonna also have to look to pull our Vilkas back into position. Back into a supply dump. Milan taking up a high-rise here is going to be able to provide some defensive fire against the enemy's assault towards our right flank. Our tank now holding around, but against that amount of units there, with the double T-72 now really quickly bringing down our Leopard's health to a very, very low health. We're going to be forced to smoke our Leopard out and pull it back. Our right side here is in danger of being overwhelmed by these double BMP-3 Epochas as well as double T-72, so we're going to be bringing up an AH-64 Apache to try and level the playing field, see if we can take out these enemy vehicles that are out in the open. More CV-90s with these Gelezinis Vilkas once again holding or pushing the front towards the left side here, as the pink player also takes the opportunity right now to push his forces here. As you can see, both the purple and pink player now pushing together towards the center in a forward assault, working together, and that's generally what you want to be doing as well. When you see your teammates pushing in aggressively, you want to be supporting your teammate, or vice versa. When you're assaulting, ideally you want your teammate to be supporting you as well. In this case, our response towards the enemy's assault was swift, as our teammates now bring in a couple of helicopters, thus wipe out the entire purple team's vehicles that was assaulting our position. But his helicopter is going to have to be careful, as the enemy does have a Luchnik in one of those tree lines there, so he's going to have to be pulling his helicopters away for the time being. Our infantry in the center battling out against the pink players' infantry. These are Motopehoka squads, general purpose infantry, very strong as well against just light vehicles as well as infantry. We're gonna have to use our IFVs, these CV-90s, to be providing some medium to long range autocannon fire support, but here comes the enemy Sointsepek, or could be a grab potentially, but given the munitions that was just exploded right there, that's most likely a Sointsepek itself. Does wipe out both of our Gelezinis squads, so we're gonna have to be careful right now as we're losing our infantry very quickly. XA-180 as well as the CV-90 now continuing to pressure and destroy the pink players' units. We do have a Brutus right now hammering into one of those pink players' Motopehoka squad. Our Leopard managed to survive the previous onslaught there. CV-90 now, as well as a couple more infantry units, are moving into position as our teammate pushes his double helicopters. I think these are Apache Guardians, so very expensive helicopters. Does come equipped with rockets, some Hellfires, as well as Stinger missiles there. You can see Hellfires launching into the distance, destroys one of the enemy Tulpans there, but he's gonna be pushing his helicopter a bit too deep to my liking here, as the enemy does have an attack helicopter himself, and it's gonna be engaging and destroying these Apache Guardians. So TMA got a little bit greedy there, I think. Did end up losing both of his helicopters, but did manage to take out one of the enemy Tulpans, so not too bad, I guess. Nevertheless, with reinforcements now coming in, we're starting to stabilize the front as we have successfully repelled the enemy's second assault into our position. CV-90 is going to take the opportunity right now to charge forwards and see if we can take out the enemy helicopter from a relatively close range. This CV-90 is in a position as well. As you can see, our sniper still continuing to hold its position, providing a lot of intel of what's coming ahead. But the enemy T-14 Armata is definitely a threat for us. Hopefully it's going to be engaging our infantry there that's currently taking position over on the left side. With the enemy AGS or grenade launcher squad, here we go. The Gelezinis now launches one of the Gelezinis actually is equipped with a Carl Gustav anti-tank launcher here, so a very high penetrative, very dangerous anti-tank launcher against enemy armor here, and that's why you should be careful when you see the wolf icon here. I did look up the meaning of the Gelezinis Vilkas, and I think it's a Lithuanian unit. Gelezinis Vilkas literally translates to Iron Wolf, so how cool is that? Nevertheless, the wolves on the left side here engaging the T-14 is going to be taking that T-14 out, so a very successful kill hunt for the wolves here. Orange player book entry. The orange player does manage to push one of the T-90M arenas here deep into the neon green player's line, so we're going to be supporting him with an Apache ourselves. More T-72s now coming in towards the right side as the purple player now reamassing his forces once again. He's going to try to look to engage us once again. We're going to be pushing out our forces here, engaging or coming into contact with double Derivatiya belonging to the pink player here. Gelezinis is able to take one of those out, but one of our CV-90 is going to be immobilized right now, so we're going to have to be unfortunately going to end up losing that CV-90. Leopard here over on the flank is in a commanding position to be guarding the reinforcing route of our enemies here. SUV as well as the Gelezinis now coming under heavy fire from both the enemy Tulpans as well as the Oknomachiki squad. So we're gonna have to quickly load them back into the CV-90 and get the hell out of there. The enemy Gavadi teams, the pink icon here is a very serious threat against vehicles, but the Oknomachiki is what's gonna kill our infantry very quickly. So not having any potential win rate. So I'm just saying, like, we're not gonna win that fight, so it's far better for us to make a hasty retreat right now and escape that situation. Get our forces back into supply dump, get healed up, reposition them so that we can win that fight next time. And generally, when you're pushing out your units or using your units playing the game, one aspect to note is that you always want to be picking your fights. So if you sense that the fight that you're about to have or engage in is unwinnable, then it makes no sense for you to continue to stay in that position, smoke them out, get them out of harm's way, and then reposition them or bring up fresh units to support their assault. In this case, we're going to concede some of the forward territories here, as we do have more reinforcements coming back into the fray. Unimog Mistrals here, these are very cool units. These are anti-air units, so it's essentially a Grom. I think that's a Grom. Yeah, a Grom attached to one of these trucks here. Leopard 2A8 is going to be engaging the enemy Strumoviki squads, as most of our units here are damaged. This unit no longer needs to be here, so we're going to be told to load him back in and get him back to a supply dump. To bring him back to the center here, we're gonna need those CV-90 as well as the Gelezinis Vilkas. Green player now supporting our position with more anti-air assets here. This double Avenger is going to prove very useful against enemy helicopters that might just try to steamroll into the center here, creating a somewhat very serious, deadly anti-air pocket in the center. Our Chinook previously did fly in and drop off a total of 4 Gelezinis Vilkas squads here. These Iron Wolves are definitely one of the stronger units in the Baltic division right now. Definitely something you want to be looking to use yourself in the future if you're playing with the Baltic division, that is. I think a lot of players are opting for the Gelezinis Vilkas squads. Excuse me. A lot of the Gelezinis Vilkas squads, but I truly think the Gelezinis Vilkas, what a mouthful, guys. Gelezinis Vilkas is actually a better option. Then again, it depends on your playstyle, and I'm eager to see how you guys play it yourself. So let me know in the comments below if you're playing the game and you're using the Baltic division, what sort of combination of units that you favor anyway. Nonetheless, we do have a couple of Type C RCX. These are robots here belonging to the Baltic division here, remote controlled weapon systems. It's definitely something cool belonging to the Baltic side. Purple is now amassing several tanks now, double T-72 over on the right side once again. We're not seeing a lot of activity on the left side of the island here, but we're gonna be taking advantage of that in the meanwhile, as we have the Gelezinis here as well as the SUV being told to push towards our left flank here to try and contest these tree lines and try to develop our position better forward. As we enter into phase 3, as you can see the score wise now, we are actually up in a very healthy lead. Leopard 2A8 now taking a flanking shot against the enemy Terminator, does take it out. You can see what Ryder once again, while holding the center, is a very commanding position. So if you're playing the center on the Kadaga map, definitely you want to be focused on controlling the center here.
Apache reporting in.
The enemy Gavadi Motoshaki teams is going to be pushing out, and it's going to be engaged by a lot of our units right now. We do have one of the wolves here intercepting as our Leopard also providing some damage. SUV is going to be the perfect ideal unit to be used to engage any enemy forces in these tree lines here. But we're going to have to pull one of the infantry out, as it's currently taking fire from the enemy T-72. One of our Type X RCV is going to be launching a spike missile into the top armor of the T-72. And the T-72 now is panicked and low health. We're going to be taking the opportunity right now to push our Leopard very aggressively to try and take out the enemy T-72. And you can see we do have a lot of Gelezinis Vilkas today, and definitely a very strong map, especially in the center for infantry. Our SUV once again pushing out to the left side here. We do have an M8 Thunderbolt supporting our SUV, just in case any enemy BMPs might be around, because the SUV does not come equipped with any anti-tank launcher. So we're gonna need something to destroy enemy armor in these tree lines here. Double enemy M3 books here. Books M3 is currently creating a no-fly zone, so we're gonna have to get our snipers into position to spot them, so that our Thunderbolt is gonna be able to destroy those books for us. Vilkas now taking fire from the enemy Tulpan once again, but the enemy does have a double attack helicopter in the distance here. We're going to be using our Mistrals here to try and snipe down both of these enemy helicopters. But our infantry coming out from that building is going to be engaged by the enemy Okmachiki squad, as the pink player now once again brings up a Derivate Sire. But this time, it's going to be flanked and engaged by our Gelezinis Vilkas coming into position. That's why you want to have units across the entire front here. our Thunderbolt did try to destroy one of the enemy M3 book M3, but unfortunately unable to do so, as the purple player now pushes his units into assaulting our tank, and it's going to be looking to destroy our forces here. Mistral just happy to be launching its missiles into this attack helicopters, as the purple player is not really paying attention to his helicopters right now. And our teammate here with his Apache Guardian now returning to quickly destroy the enemy tank force. Our sniper is going to be laser designating the target here. We're going to be using our Brutus to engage, but as you can see on the left side here, the enemy has already moved his book M3, so we're not gonna be able to damage anything in that tree line right now. We failed to move the Mistral after it has fired, but the Mistral did in fact take down one of the enemy attack helicopters. So a very lovely trade for us. And this is when I noticed on the left side here, the enemy book M3 is actually moving into a tree line here. So I suspect, given that one of the book M3 is already damaged, there might be a supply dump in that position. So we're going to be telling that Brutus, that single Brutus once again, mind you, it's going to be launching a shell here, guided very accurately by our sniper. A second Mistral here attempting to destroy the enemy attack helicopter, and finally it's going to be taking that one out as well. As you can see, we quickly eliminated a lot of the purple players' forces very efficiently as well. Gelezinis Vilkas is going to be engaging the enemy Igla, Motostrelki Iglas, but it's going to be supported by our CV-90, so very efficient trade here. And this is when you can hear that the Brutus, I think the Brutus might has already fired towards the left side here. Pay attention to the left side where the laser is right now. And boom! And that is why I think you don't necessarily need to have a multiple artillery assets here. Having a lot of artillery assets can actually be a hindrance to you, because you're not going to have the necessary points available to invest into frontline infantry or vehicles. And if your artillery is not efficiently killing things, you're just not going to be using them as efficiently or effectively at all. In this case, a single Brutus is all it needs, or all it takes to destroy both of the enemy book M3s. Purple player continuing the aggression right now, but our units are already making their way towards the front. These Gelezinis Vilkas is a very dangerous threat against enemy armor, especially when we can get them into surrounding position here. You can see we're effectively dominating the center today, as we push all the way into the back of the island here, where the enemy only has this one access road into this island here. SUV is going to be encountering double incendiary Strumoviki squad, so very quickly we're going to be losing that incendiary squad. You can see our units are now being told to push on forwards, as the pink player now suddenly says GG. The enemy team has surrendered, and we have successfully gained a victory here. Now we did end up with a lovely 7,640 kills, 3,300 deaths, with a fantastic ratio of 2.32. Definitely a fun game to play, plenty of lessons to learn. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.